Hello, my metaphysical travelers. Today I'm here to discuss with you the power and the energy in divination boards. Now, I like to do what you guys request, and I tally up the most requests for a particular metaphysical subject matter, and then ultimately I bring into play my knowledge on and my expertise on certain metaphysical phenomenon. So the winner this time was indeed divination boards, oracle boards. However, let's begin by saying that for the most part, what Americans and perhaps a lot of the people in the world have understood these boards to be are Ouija boards, Ouija boards. I'm not fond of that particular trademarked name, so I'm more of the ilk of discussing divination boards, calling them talking boards, message boards, spirit boards, or other names they have been known by throughout the centuries. The reason why this particular subject matter is so dear to my heart is because I remember decades ago when I first ultimately decided to become a bit more high profile with my abilities. I never was really wanted to be uber famous, and I've turned down quite a few television shows because it's just not my thing. I'm a homeboy, as you know from previous videos. But I remember when I first really started to give my lectures and discussions on the different tools that metaphysical people could use to access information, and I remember very quickly I was dismissed by the older, arcane individuals of the metaphysical community, especially when I discussed my divination deck, which I designed myself, and these oracle boards. I remember specifically hearing them lecture and say things like, well, people like that can't really be terribly intuitive if they're using these kind of tools because it should come from within. I found that to be kind of just, I don't know, either old-fashioned or because they did have a lot of years on me. Maybe they just came from a part of society that had mainstream religion dismissing this or suggesting that it is either satanic or bringing in ill-dignified vibrational fields, or that had been so much reportaging of those that had unfortunate events happen to them because of using oracle boards, that they were just simply, they were quick to judge. It hurt me because I'm kind of sensitive, but I wasn't about to just abandon a metaphysical tool. And metaphysical tool is exactly what it is. That's what's important. I think back in those days, because a lot more gals at the time had been doing it than guys, now it's at least 50% men, if not men have taken the forefront of metaphysical energy. But at the time, I think what gals didn't quite understand is, in their defense, is that guys need tools in order to work. So, I mean, you know, you're working on a roof, you need a nail gun. You're a metaphysical person, guys are visual. So I designed my own divination deck and I used oracle boards. When something works, you stick with it. So my gender prefers tools, and if they work, I'm going to use them. Of course, if they're not going to work, I would abandon them. But I have found them to work rather succinctly with me, so I indeed use them. I'm an old spirit, and I've had many lifetimes. And one of my most favorite lifetimes was my Victorian life. And I can very clearly recall being in the parlor, just like we are today, and doing accessment of the spirit world. It's very easy for me to remember those lives and manifest them through photographs. So, my friend Kim has taken many pictures of me in my lifetime, and I've always been able to, in minutes, put something like that together because it's the imagery of my days in Edwardian, Victorian times when I used oracle boards. So, it's a natural for me. However, getting back to those that dismiss it, I understand why. Because when it, I have quite an enormous collection of these divination tools, these boards. Some of them, frankly, I didn't even want on film today because they're so special, they're so sacred to me. I just felt like it might be a dishonor to them to even have them on film, so I didn't bring them into this particular room with me today. I used them, but I didn't particularly I just didn't feel like, I felt the souls might be captured in them on some level if they were put on film. But yeah, there's a huge collection of them going back to the old handmade pieces from Victorian times, which I have, to the William Fold pieces of from Baltimore back in, what's that, 1920, 30, all the way to when Parker Brothers ultimately bought the rights to Ouija, trademarked it as such, and I was trained as a young man on these oracle boards. Interesting thing to note, though, about the history. Ouija boards are manufactured in those days by Parker Brothers in, of all places in the country, Salem, Massachusetts. So here's one of the most magical places in the country where these boards are being created, and at that time wooden, and surely they had infused in them mystical energy. You see, the responsibility lies in the psychic, medium, or anyone that's using metaphysical apparatus. So whether it's a tarot deck or divination deck, whether it's a speaking or oracle board, whether it's the ruins, whether it's dowsing, the responsibility lies in that individual who's using that metaphysical tool. So, even nowadays, with a lot of these modern intuitives that are not using anything to come up with their metaphysical abilities, I just did it with astonishing results at a recent event of mine. Packed house, very interesting information that came through. But, much to my astonishment, I found that when I had a pad on stage and a thick magic marker, I was able to draw a gentleman's tattoo who wasn't even in the room via the woman in his life who happened to be there. She was a good conduit. But my point is, though, visuals and these energies and this tactile world all it can assist one in accessing the spirit realm. And again, it's the responsibility, though, of the person that's using it. So, unfortunately, since the, let's say, late 60s and definitely throughout the 70s, 80s, and even to today, what's been happening, though, is a lot of people, young and or old, young are not just the only ones to blame, but what they're doing is they're having a slice of pizza, they're having a soda, and if there's nothing better to do, they're deciding to, let's do the Ouija board and see what comes through. Well, then you're opening yourself up to the Pandora's box of anything. And that's why mainstream religion will say, maybe you're accessing who knows what. Maybe who you think you're accessing, your beloved grandmother, is really just, I don't know, they're saying, or they were saying, demonic forces are coming through as your Aunt Edna. But the point is, though, if you're responsible, or even if you're hurting, if there's someone that you need to make contact with, you can do so with these tools if they are used in a responsible fashion. You know, all over the Long Island, because of the bad press that oracle boards have gotten, so many of them have been, ironically, buried all over Long Island and America and even elsewhere. You know, it's going to be pretty funny someday when cockroaches rule the world and when they do an excavation, rather, of the sedimentary levels of the soil, and they're going to go miles into the earth and find 1 full mile of buried Ouija boards all over the country and wonder, what were these people doing then that every single one of these pieces of wood had to be buried somewhere in someone's backyard? It's going to be kind of funny. But again, that comes from actually parents, authority figures, or just people doing this kind of work that perhaps doing it in an ill-placed manner or in some farcical manner, freaked out, ran in the backyard, buried it, hoping that whatever they had summoned was out of the room. So here's an example of just one of the boards. The William Fold board, by the way. It usually has the numbers 1 to 10, 1 to 9, 0 to 9, more or less. Yes and no. It has a goodbye, or that just that essence of it's over. That's all that spirit can say. Although they've often come with, and this one did as well, a wooden planchette. I have found though since Victorian times, often what was used was a crystal, a lead crystal goblet, glass was used as a planchette. Two people would use it, of course, and they would get variations on numbers. Modern bands have used this. Alice Cooper, I believe, got his name off of using Ouija board. Mars Volta is a more interesting modern band that has used Ouija. Books have been written by certain individuals via channeling. So it's very much like, let's say, automatic writing. Now, do I use something like this all the time? No. As a matter of fact, I haven't used anything like this in the past, what is it? It's been almost 18, 19 years since the last time I used one. And why did I? Because one of my brothers passed away, and I had actually given up my powers that year. I couldn't do it. It was too much for me. My work was too sensitive, and I didn't want to be an open channel or a walking Ouija board, which basically I am. So my friend and I used one just to determine what happened. And I know that as a psychic, I normally wouldn't access spirits within almost a year of their passing. But that's sometimes the reason I say yes to clients that are hurting and are besides themselves is because I know what that feels like, having lost so many people I love. And with the help of an oracle board, I was able to determine how it happened, when it happened, and how many individuals were responsible. So we're talking 19 years ago. That's the last time I used it. But I had to. And I got a message that I needed to understand. So, again, I would say I'm taking it pretty seriously if I'm using it every almost 20 years. So my point really is, don't let anyone tell you that a certain divination tool doesn't work. If it works for you, and you're responsible, and many people nowadays are, then it works for you. Use it. And by the way, they are not expensive. You could go to a flea market this weekend and get yourself an actual Ouija made in Salem. They don't make them there anymore. That's why I would say go to a flea market for $1. So, it doesn't cost a lot of money if you're a responsible person to get something like this, use it by yourself automatically, or with someone else that you trust, and get the kind of messages that you require. But, yeah, the past 20 years I haven't used Ouija. I used my own divination deck, which works very well for me. So, let's say goodbye to the oracle board, and hello to the divination deck. Bye. Voila! So it's all about, of course, responsibility. Let's see what the vibrations have to say using my favorite form of divination. And again, you know what? All the other intuitives, metaphysical people, mediums, use whatever you want. I'm an artist. I designed this deck myself. It's always worked for me. I've got a great reputation as an intuitive because of it, and that's what I'm going to use. So, when we're discussing things as potent as divination, and I've had in the parlor of a 120-year-old house almost 100-year-old oracle board. Let's see what the vibes have to say today. Number 1. Okay, the first vibe is quite interesting. This is I can't get over it. This is a still life that I put together at the Hawthorne Inn in Salem, Massachusetts. I'm just thinking, yeah, it was the week of my wedding, and I was in suite, was it 612? Anyway, the point though is, I called the painting Marianne's candelabra after my friend, whose candelabra's in the picture, some tapers, some Jack B. Littles. In my divination deck, it's called Victory, and it represents goals that can be reached. And after all, isn't that what we've been discussing with the oracle boards? Is you use things if you feel that there's something that you can indeed achieve, and if it's used properly. This vibe is ruled by Jupiter and Leo. Leo rules the heart. So if you're going to do something, make sure it's coming from the heart, that your conscience feels free, that you're not scamming anybody, and that really all you're trying to do is expand the horizons of your consciousness. So, pretty powerful vibe. victory. You can't ever have a victory in your whole life. I haven't had one in my career unless you had a struggle. My struggle was people judging me over what tools I used. They don't do it anymore. Now I've got a lot of respect. But in those days I had to kind of fight for it. Okay, next fight. I'm sure you all have to do the same thing. Fight for the things that you believe in. It's a battle worth fighting. If you have to. Vibrational field number 2. Well, it's an interesting vibe. It's very Daniel-esque. It's on a tarot card. It shows a gal who's at rest in a sumptuous environment. Like this. She's got her books to read. She's got her bottles of something special. Magic. One of the labels I paint on this bottle is Tears of Joy. The books have quite interesting titles, by the way. Her butterfly collection, a crow, her jewels, and a pentagram she holds in her hand, the representation of discs and gain. So it's a powerful vibration of, you know, she has a big smile on her face with her eyes closed. The notion is, be happy with yourself. If you love yourself and you love your life, then you're emanating great joy and you're doing good works. Okay? And the grand pinnacle, the capstone of the pyramid, the Grand Shrine, says this today. And therein lies the rub. Don't be turned off by this. It's a Capricorn rule vibe. I love it, because I love Capricorns. But it's a vibrational field of the devil. But let me explain where we're getting it. What does this vibration mean in readings in tarot? It means you're going to be judged. So it's interesting, because that was the whole concept of what I was discussing with these kind of things, is people will critique you. They will judge you. Sometimes, in a world that's sometimes gone a bit awry, there will be those that, let's say, demonize you. But remember, you got to be your own judge. You have to be your own conscience. If your heart, like the beginning vibration says to you, you're doing the right thing, and you're above board, and you're just trying to help people, and you're not naive, then you know what? You can vibe into this. You can vibe into this beautiful Capricornian energy of being uber metaphysical, but at the same time, being what I love about Capricorn, grounded, focused, centered, and metaphysical. It's the best of all worlds. It doesn't then matter anymore what they think. All that matters is what you know. One last thing, by the way. That image you see behind me, that beautiful image of Mae West that everyone loves when I bring it to my speaking engagements, that's a print. That's not even the original. Would you believe that that print has silver, gold, and diamonds in it? It's blowing my mind that I finally found, thank you God, a company that's printing the colors exactly as the originals were. They're being very true to the hues. And you know what? The prints are superseding the originals because they're just so, they're becoming quite valuable. I gotta show you the original. This is the original. The only difference is, although the print has, she's got the eyelashes, she's got the diamonds, she's got sterling silver and gold. The only difference is she doesn't have all the hair in it. So it's much lower maintenance. So that hair's painted, and I've touched every single lock on that particular piece. So in the future, if you do, if you're able to wrestle a print away from me, even a print, my God, it's hard enough to buy a painting, much less a print. You're going to get quite a beautiful piece because there's really not an inch of the piece that hasn't been touched by the artist. So, you know, the only difference is, again, it's a low-maintenance piece. So I hope you enjoy our little tutorial on Ouija. And one last thing I just have to show you. You may have seen it in a previous video, but I love it. My Ouija board, or Oracle board t-shirt. Thank you guys for bearing with me and enjoying this particular presentation. Great Caesar's Ghost. I forgot to tell you. I got the book right here and I forgot. I just picked this up in the city at, in Manhattan, of course, at Barnes & Noble. It's a Ouija answer book. It's just like a divination deck. So what you can do is, if you are your own channel for metaphysical energy, you can just feel up, you can get into that zone. Number 5. Get a lot of numbers. All right, it wants me to end. So I know we don't have much time anyway, but it's interesting. 0, goodbye. So just, the point is though, it's got all the information that the Oracle boards do, and now it's even in book form. So I must tell you, modernists are getting back on the bandwagon again. You know what? It's fun, it's interesting to tap into the future, but how interesting what it just did for me. Produced a number 5, one of my favorite numbers. I know my grandmother loved it, but then told me, that's it, that's all I've got to say. So I guess what it's trying to say to me is, that's all I got to say too.